Okay, so I sort of had a mini revelation, which means, might not last because I'm talking about it right away. But uh, I was just thinking, I'm not checking the audio. The audio here is registering as I speak, so it should be over there, right? Sometimes it's not. To avoid that, sometimes I check, but I was criticized about that, so I decided not to. So my attitude has always been, and I've used this example, that cartoon with the wolf and the wily coyote and the sheep, that there should be some sort of camaraderie. And the thing is, my attitude is, how the hell are you going to get all bent out of shape because you disagree with someone over something like, do photons exist? And, unless your idea is, uh, should these people be put in concentration camps, there's a pretty wide latitude. I'd imagine you just be thankful you found somebody to discuss about, do photons exist? You just be thankful for that. And that you disagree is just, it's part of finding people to discuss things with. I mean, none of you are off just talking to people that agree with you, but I guess that's what you're looking for. You're trying to find the people that agree with you, and then you would just talk with them or something. I don't know. I always wanted to find out how you could talk with other people. It seemed to me if that meant some heat, because if there's no heat, it's awkward because it's cold and it could look like, I would say, it could look kind of fake and stuff like that. Obviously, when it's too heated, the information all gets burnt up. Somewhere in the middle is just congenial enough, but not too familiar enough, and it's the right temperature, and we should be trying to find that. And I have some ideas on that too, but that's not the revelation. The revelation is that now I've always known a lot of people are not here for that. I kind of feel like, well, you're here for that, but you just don't know it, right? But obviously, people burn out in YouTube and they go, and it turns out, no, they weren't here for that. And once they figured that out, they left. So I figured, well, the people that really last will have that quality. And I figured I'm assuming the best about someone, that they're going to be here and appreciate having someone to talk about this esoteric subject that before YouTube, you can do something so face to face. You could type on the internet. Before the internet, very difficult. Just at a party, it was really difficult to find somebody who want to talk about esoteric things. Like, one of my things is I always loved quantum mechanics, and in college started hearing more about it, and I would just tell all my family and everybody at parties and stuff. And it was just, I wanted to find people that also had heard about it to also discuss it with, and just telling people about it, then they go, oh, if at least you hope to get some sort of feedback. And that's what we're all doing, whether we knew it or not, I thought. But no, we're not. Even the long timers, not necessarily. First of all, how maybe they're just stubborn and they haven't, they're not here for that, and they'll never leave because they'll never admit that that's not what's going on. Or also, people are just driven. They do things they don't know why. They could figure out and still be driven in a way. Sometimes I've been wondering that the last year or two, um, because I'll stop making videos as much and stuff, and that's good. But then I feel like and I want to make a video, and I like to discuss. I like this medium. Maybe it's just a habit at this point after so long. Um, I mean, I used to post on a lot of text things. Now, just really comments on videos mostly. But that's not entirely true. But mostly, um, the video medium was a good one for this. It seemed to be working well for a while. It was an illusion. We saw how it kind of unraveled. But what I realized, the mini revelation, is that I'm not doing anybody a favor, assuming they're here for what I assume is the good reason, what I think of as the good reason of having these discussions. And if they get heated, of course, you'd still be, hey, man, you found somebody to talk about if a photon exists. Mission accomplished. And And then when people would get so bothered by it that they couldn't handle it, okay, they'd cool off and leave, maybe come back, maybe not, whatever, fine. But I'm not going to assume that anymore. I'm not gonna I'm gonna go with what the evidence of all these decades, if you include the part that wasn't videos, has shown, where that's not the case, and you're not doing anybody a favor by pretending there's some idealized um, person. And someone could say, yeah, it is idealized. You're not really thankful to have found people to talk about if photons exist either, pyrrho, or at least you don't act like it. Maybe I don't show it my thankfulness. Maybe it is just an idealization in general. So with regard to that, all I can do is change the conversation um, in some structural way in how I think of it. And if I'm not assuming that I'm talking to people that are interested to have a conversation partner, and I have to acknowledge all these, yes, obvious things of, no, people are trying to convert you, some people are trying to make some money, some people just want to entertain you, some people, yes, of course, then um, it puts things in a different light. So, for example, with Hythloday, I could see the part where you answered about solipsism. That's the part I liked. That was fun to watch that for a second. But then it was kind of like, huh, didn't really dig into why. That's the part I want you to dig into. And we can't communicate which part. And the reason is because we have it's like two prospectors looking for two different metals, or with two different theories of where to find them. One wants to look under the boulders, and one wants to look in the stream bed or whatever. And there's many ways to put it, probably, but in this last conversation, see, my illusions exist idea and the film strip emphasis of that metaphor to make it so simple that this is the data we start from. And the concept of I is definitely happening in there. Yeah, it's an illusion, just like, before we knew what the sun was, the phenomena of the sun rising was in there. We were wrong about what the sun was, but it was still a phenomena. The phenomena of there being this observer, this film strip has an observer. You can, one of the features of it is us. We're noticing it. And even when you close your eyes, things, your ears still happen. You put yourself in a sensory deprivation tank, weird things start to happen, but you hear things from the inside of your head. Right? So you can't really not notice it. And so there is this phenomena in it of I, and what people think it is, yeah, I believe it is an illusion. People have a totally wrong conception of what it is. Um, and in Hythloday is devoted to, he will not warrant any sort of concept that's a real or it's significant or whatever. So to me, you know that's a structural difference. That the only reason two people with a structural difference like that would want to talk would be to investigate each other's ideas, right? Like to look at your idea and go, oh, look, you've got a three-way hinge there. That's interesting. I see how that's useful. Like like if you're talking to somebody, you know, who's like a math mystic, like ancient Pythagorean type person, and they're talking to you about how, conic sections and the whole universe, it's all about that. I would be like, well, no, but that's interesting. But if that's only if you're the person who's there going like, hey, this is great, mission accomplished, I found somebody to discuss this issue with. If you expect to be able to agree or go step by step, I mean, your first step is still not clear because, I mean, if your first step is that things that have a location exist, and anything that doesn't exist, that doesn't, I don't know where you went from that. But if anything that has, okay, then that's your starting point. Um, Fine, I guess we didn't continue with it. My starting point, I guess I made pretty clear last couple years, And you can see we're at severe odds from the very beginning. And the only reason, the only way you could continue is if that was the purpose, was to co-investigate our two sets of ideas. Since that's not the case, I mean, that pretty much speaks for itself. Um, and I'm going to go back to a previous video project um, that I thought of before you decided to start talking to me again.